Two things. Firstly, an oil boom. The income tax, the top rate of tax in Venezuela is much lower than our own. When the oil prices collapsed, which they didn't prepare for that through the economic
entitlement. Are you saying that socialist Venezuela is collapsing because of oil prices?
No. The second point, one second. This is important. I think it's really important that we talk about what's happening in Venezuela. The second point is the imposition of exchange and price controls riddled with corruption, which have led to drastic shortages, which should not have been imposed, which were imposed supposedly as a temporary measure back in 2002, and of course calamity.
Corruption that is inevitable.
Let's have Kate coming back on your 2 points.
When you have state intervention and when you have state control in the way that Venezuela does, that corruption is inevitable. Let's talk about what's happening in Venezuela. Infant mortality is up by 10,000%. Inflation is up by 947%. Poverty has gone from 48% to 82%. The minimum wage, talk about some progressive utopia, is down by 75%. The murder rate is 10 times that of the global average. This is a socialist experiment gone truly awry. And sorry, I just have to follow this up very quickly. There have been many apologies made for years by the left, many Guardian headlines, many comments from the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, from MPs like Diane Abbott. An apology is needed now. An outright apology. I don't care if Jeremy Corbyn's in Croatia. This has to be apologized for.
Does Kate have a point? Because the Labour leader has managed to mention Arsenal Football Club while on holiday.
But not Venezuela. Does he need to?
He will. I'm sure when he comes back on holiday, he will, because the amount of scrutiny which is currently being placed on this. As I've said, firstly, socialist governments in Ecuador, in Bolivia, in Uruguay are not afflicted by.
Socialist experiments fail. They fail like this.
1 second, come on. They are all having huge economic growth. They have over the last few years. They haven't collapsed, and they've massively reduced poverty in their own countries. So that's not true.
You're picking and choosing the definition of socialism.
Well, they are socialist governments.
Countries that are far more free but maybe have higher tax rates are not socialist. This is socialism.
Bolivia and Uruguay are ruled by socialist governments. The second point, and this is the utter hypocrisy, the utter hypocrisy of this whole argument. At the moment, our government is arming Saudi Arabia to the teeth, a vicious dictatorship which... No. Let me finish. This is a critical point about the hypocrisy of this debate. Jeremy Corbyn hasn't sold weapons to Venezuela. Our government is selling weapons which are now being dropped on Yemen. Yemen is now being convulsed by famine and a cholera epidemic. Our government is responsible. Second point.
No one is disputing that.
No, but this is the point. Why is there no national outrage in the press about the fact our government...
There is. The Guardian.
Our government, why the Conservative Party is responsible for a humanitarian crisis, directly not saying kind words about Saudi Arabia, but arming them to the teeth.
Everyone wants an apology.
Why Owen says there's not enough coverage of that.
There isn't. There's no coverage.
I agree with him from a libertarian point of view.
So why are you attacking the Conservative Party? Why are you blaming the Conservatives?
If you want to chat about Saudi Arabia and the arms deal, I bet you and I could write a great joint op-ed on that. That does not excuse the fact that there isn't been an apology from Jeremy Corbyn.
Hold on,
do you want an apology from Theresa May about what's happening?
I would love an apology for Theresa May on Saudi Arabia and a lot of other things.
And Yemen, and Turkey.
That does not distract from the point that headlines from you, from The Guardian, from Jeremy Corbyn, from Diane Abbott have been praising this regime for years, and it turned out it was wrong, and it's okay to apologize for that.
What is worse, selling weapons to regimes which bomb countries?
I think the endorsement of anybody dying is a bad thing.
Which is worse, selling weapons to a murderous dictator which slits the throat of people?
Listen, we're coming off.
No, it's a critical point. It's about the utter hypocrisy, which is absolutely inexcusable, as I've already said.
We need to come back. We'll continue in the break. It is a debate that deserves much more time. You've both managed to get your points in. There's plenty more coming up after the break here on the Press Preview. Do stay with us.